is integrating into the core of how we function.
Yes,
right.
and it has the impact for an emergency in any country that the Red Cross works in, in any context for any disaster. So it's big.
Hi, welcome to Nairobi from Global Innovation Summit. My name is Gavin Bargus. Today I'm here to talk about Humanitarian Innovative Finance Hub, HIFHUB, with two fine ladies from Denmark, I believe. Welcome.
Thanks, Gavin. Hi, I'm Deirdre O'Sullivan and I'm an Innovative Financing Advisor at the HIFHUB.
And hi, Gavin. I'm Anne-Sofie Munk, or just Sophie, and I'm working with Dee on establishing this new initiative, the Humanitarian Innovative Finance Hub.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Really nice to be able to talk to you
Gavin.
this morning.
Thank you.
Find out a little bit more about what both innovative finance is about, and HIFHUB. What is it you guys are doing, the journey you've been on, and where you are today. So thanks for taking the time to talk to us and give us a little bit more detail around it. So very quickly, where are you guys coming from? Danish Red Cross? Very quickly, a little bit about your background.
So I'll start. Dee, please go ahead and add. So a bit about personally my background. I have, for the last maybe 15 years, been working with partnerships, having the opportunity and the pleasure to kind of follow the whole developments in the partnership in sector, where we started with a very traditional grant-based relationships, building partnerships, and then onto these more business-like partnerships with brainpower, partnerships with the private sector. So really following that whole development to where we are now. So I really feel I'm in the perfect place right now, bringing those different experiences from NGOs, from the UN and from the Red Cross, and now working with this new initiative, which is kind of a startup, and we'll get back to that, bringing it all together and working with Dee and other good colleagues on this. So very happy to be here and to be here in Nairobi with you, Gavin, and with Dee and all the rest, I believe 300 people who are gathered here in Nairobi.
Yeah. A lot of people curious about what it is you guys are doing.
That's good.
Yeah. Dee, what about you? What's your, quickly, your background?
My background. So I started my journey in the private sector, actually, working in investment management, and then moved into the nonprofit sector and have been in the nonprofit sector for more than 12 years now, with a real focus on taking that investment background and applying it to humanitarian and development challenges. So always been in and around innovative finance, in different forms, different guises.
Right.
I think it's not just about taking a model that we all know, that's well tried and tested in the financial world and applying it to humanitarian or development challenges, but it's actually finding new ways of working alongside that.
Right.
It's about learning from what we're doing, just not keep on. It's not continuing pilot after pilot after pilot. It's bringing it all together. That's the purpose of the hub, to be this anchor point for the movement, and it's really like using the models that we do know work and doing more of the same,
right,
and also evolving those over time.
Right.
So if we start with, let's take insurance for drought or flood. We started that kind of model back in sort of 2015 in the humanitarian sector, thinking about how we could better prepare for pre-plan and pre-finance a response to drought, and all of the things that go along with that.
Right.
Now, today, we're thinking about how can we anticipate the drought, how can we respond to the actual drought when it happens, and then how can we actually build back better.
Right.
And all of that built into an insurance product.
Right.
So it shows you the evolution of where we started and where we're going to.
Right.
And that's not to say that we don't do more of what we started with, because that does work. We need to do more of it, but we also need to take that model and start evolving it, and start making it more efficient, and more about pre-financing for our humanitarian sector, because we all know very well that the humanitarian sector is immensely overstretched, and I like to kind of describe it as a need to take what we do know exists, take what we can model, take the things we have a lot of data and information on, and build responses, build solutions for those problems. Keep the money that's coming, which is smaller and smaller, coming from the traditional donor pots and the traditional sources, for those kinds of risks and emergencies that we can't model and that
Right.
we know will always happen.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's try to build more models like that.
So I think, yeah, very key there, Dee. So insurance then becomes, within innovative finance, one of the key instruments or models that we want to work with, and which is already the stuff already going on in our movement. So we want to say, okay, is that one of the models or instruments that we can help develop in the hub?
In the hub, yeah.
And which I think, as you also mentioned, one of the really interesting things I find about innovative finance or these models is it's also about blended finance. So what is blended finance is actually combining. So we're not going to throw away what we're already, the income we have and the financing we've built and we've proved and works, but it has a limitation.
And very much to your point about bringing everything together, I think we also should always remember that the finance is only one part of it.
Yes.
Right.
It's literally only one piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
We need the expertise of all of our colleagues in the movement who will ground those financial solutions, instruments, whatever we want to call them,
Into the right
in
context.
reality and in their
Yeah.
context
Yeah.
to make them really viable and sustainable.
Right.
And so that's what we need. We need that from all of our colleagues in the hub.
And I think what's super important, what we also discussed previously, Gavin and Dee, when we were preparing for this, is that it's the humanitarian problems that are our starting points. We might be fascinated by a certain model, and that's really great, but that's really not where we want to start. We want to start with the problems and the needs and the opportunities that there might be in a specific context, and that's where we start from. And I think we're so fortunate to build on the learnings that are already in the movement, and one of them is definitely don't get too carried away by the model. Bring on the operations at the same level, or same point in time, basically.
Move from
So-
theory.
You need to have your context. You need to have operational people and perspectives on board, because this is something that needs to be able to be implemented,
Yes.
and it needs to be fit into the context.
So we're touching a little bit into what it is now, right?
Yes.
The
What is
different,
it?
The different instruments and models is what I've heard is what we're going to call it, right?
Yeah.
Insurance, it seems, is one of the areas that you're looking at, right? Maybe you could tell us a little bit more. You've mentioned DREF and parametric type of insurances.
Yeah.
But you could tell us a little bit about what.
So I'll give you the
What
the non-expert intro.
Yeah.
I'll leave it to Dee, because this has also been my journey into understanding these things. So definitely, insurance is one of the things that we are looking at, and the really interesting thing with the two initiatives that we're working on right now. So you have the DREF, the Disaster Response Emergency Fund of the IFRC network, which is a mechanism that has been working for a long time. I think it's since '86. It has a basic, donor funding. It's there. In 2022, I think it was, the fund ran out of money, and there was an empty fund, basically. And then the IFRC started working on, so how can we actually work with a contingency plan and make sure that doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
So this is what I'm learning is called the indemnity insurance. So something happens and then you can fill up with your insurance, or you can pay with the insurance. So the DREF, or an insurance for DREF mechanism, is actually bringing in insurance to fill that gap. So here we have an example of something that's working already. We amplify, we bring in another way of financing that fund. So that's kind of something that's well functioning. You bring in a new kind of financing.
Partnerships, or
through partnerships, and
With the private sector, specifically the insurance sector,
with the
who are
private sector.
taking the risk of that fund potentially running down to zero, in theory, away from us and away from our movement, and putting that risk, deferring it out, if you like, to the commercial markets who take on that risk for a certain price on our behalf.
So they're willing to take that risk, possibly to earn a profit, but also to lose. But that risk is...
And often in this kind of groundbreaking new model, where partners are coming together, very much so, the profit question is parked.
Right.
Because everybody is so keen to develop this model. They can see the benefit for not just only their own commercial business lines, but also for the good of humanity,
Right.
And it being a public good. And so people are willing to come in and effectively put their own money on the table to do this. Work for free, work pro bono,
Right.
charge significantly lower rates.
Right.
Reinsurers go out to the market and price it very competitively.
Right.
So it's all those different benefits of building an innovation where we can really take advantage.
Right.
And also works with our principles as humanitarian agencies.
Yes, absolutely, with the principles.
Yeah. But so one point to note there on that fund is that is a really interesting, it's a really groundbreaking way of taking a humanitarian pot that we know has huge amounts of stress put on it,
Right.
mostly related to climate disasters, and I think it's now 63% or above of responses are climate responses. And the money is not going to last forever. So how do we add on that additional capacity?
Right.
We build an insurance product that will basically
Secure
provide
that.
that,
Right.
that capacity should the fund go below a certain level.
Right.
Yeah, and this has been developed by IFRC. So and the hub is speaking about it, but that's because it's within our task is to spread the knowledge about that this is happening as a very concrete thing. We manage part of the training component, which is exactly creating the awareness around it, and also making sure people know about it.
Right.
So developed by IFRC.
And a long time in the development, right?
Yeah, and a long time.
Let's be honest, it's taken a long time to get here because
Yeah.
that's the way innovation works,
Yeah.
especially if you're building something that is really new.
And systemic in a sense, because
Absolutely.
it really is
Yeah.
integrating into the core of how we function.
Yeah.
Yes,
Right.
and
Yeah.
it has the impact for an emergency in any country that the Red
Exactly.
Cross works in,
Right.
Yeah.
in any context for any disaster. So it's big.
So we want to amplify knowledge about that and also support and partners help facilitate that. So just to a bit underline what's our role in it. We
Yeah.
haven't developed it. Simon, our colleague in the IFRC, who's also an advisor to the hub and a whole IFRC team, and a lot of other people, super complicated.
Yeah.
Our job is to communicate about it and help mobilize partners.
So to spread the knowledge,
Yes.
to build partnerships potentially.
And to show you what insurance can do.
Yes.
Right. The
Right.
impact and,
Yes.
and effect. Right.
Yeah, because this is different to often the insurance model that we hear a lot about in our sector, which is around responding to a specific hazard or a specific
so that's
emergency.
the other one. So maybe we should take that one. So that's the first kind of way we work with insurance.
Right.
So the next one
Is
is the more
this is what we're calling the parametric.
the parametric,
right?
Parametric.
parameters. I was learning. So parametric comes from parameters, which kind of triggers.
Well, you know
So
more
that's
than me.
No, but that's a way to understand
good.
it. That's how I remember it as a non-expert. So maybe over to you to explain that as another way we're working with insurance.
Yeah, so I think theoretically, very simply, it's not waiting for an event to happen and then assessing that loss and then the insurance backfills the loss effectively. It's actually preempting and pre-designing, pre-planning
Right.
what that loss is going to look like, modeling it,
Right.
basing it on scientific data and pre-agreed triggers that says if rainfall in a drought situation falls below this level, we all agree, pre-agree, that this insurance product is going to pay X to Y on Z date.
Right.
And that's the difference. There's
Right.
no assessment of loss.
Right.
It's an automatic payout. It's quicker, it's more
So it
efficient.
reduces the time.
It
Yes.
does.
Right,
The
right.
response time
Right.
is so much faster. The
Yeah.
funds are getting to our national societies faster to
Right.
respond when they really need that money. In a traditional, as we know, in a traditional humanitarian response, it can take up to 9 months to get funds on the ground. That means we're all spending our own budgets
Right.
to respond to the
Immediate.
emergencies that we have a moral imperative to respond to.
Yes.
But now we can actually pre-agree that finance and have it in place before the disaster actually happens.
Sounds quite complex. Modeling, data
Yeah.
Yeah,
over many years, analysis of, and this is
absolutely true.
And this is being done by the insurance sector otherwise?
Yes,
or, right.
it's being done a lot in the insurance sector by new initiatives. So some big insurers have set up specifically climate-driven businesses.
Right.
So they're actually effectively focusing on this particular risk and building new innovations and building new partnerships and stakeholders around that.
Right.
And that's one side of it. Then there is a lot of evidence already out there from our colleagues in the humanitarian sector who've
Right.
also been trialing this in different ways for different hazard types. And there are some very, really cool innovations happening in the insurance sector that a lot of us who started in it years ago we just didn't think it was going to be possible to build a model like that, and now they are being built. Right. So instead of responding to one disaster, you can respond with an insurance product to multiple disasters, which is our reality. Right? Risk is not single; it's compound.
Yes. Yeah.
So there are new ways to co-create now that these new partnerships are really being developed and solidified between the private sector, the humanitarian sector, and other stakeholders.
Are we?
We need each other.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Are we doing anything with that within Red Cross?
So maybe a couple of words on the Danish Red Cross and Malawi Red Cross initiative.
The Danish Red Cross is working now in Malawi with the Malawi Red Cross Society on the development, still in concept phase, but the development of a flood insurance model, which will trigger, in anticipation of the flood, we hope, respond when the flood actually happens, and then also provide a payout to help start and support the recovery from that actual disaster.
Right.
There's a lot of data there. It's not, responding to floods is not new from Malawi Red Cross Society. They've been doing it for a long time, have built systems around it. So we're not starting from scratch. The data's there. That's one of the key building blocks in developing a product like this.
Right, is having that data.
Having that data there.
Data, historical data.
Because if we don't have it, we can't use it, shape it, build on it.
Right.
And so that's certainly a key foundation. And so that project looks really exciting. It has attracted some funding already from external sources and internal sources in the movement. And it's really looking like a great one to be potentially rolled out to other countries.
And definitely. And I think if we think about what is it that what we need from the movement and the opportunities to engage right now is this is an example of two national societies who've worked on something they are ready to engage in. If there are national societies out there who are curious, who have want to get engaged a bit, but not know exactly how, this is an opportunity right now where national societies actually can participate by supporting it financially, as a way to kind of let's engage a bit without having to be the lead on the initiative. So our role in the hub here again is the strategic technical support, the knowledge that you come with, the experience you come with insurance, and spreading the word that there's an initiative like this, and also promoting when you start something like this, start already thinking about if it's something that can be scaled, if it can be shared, if it can be what's the future of this when you start it up. So that kind of thinking that we hope we can also support with that.
So again, this is about the awareness of this and spreading that knowledge out, but also providing the competencies if there are others interested to be able to help them understand.
Linking the people, up so they know about each other, because we have that luxurious position of having time for that.
Right.
So.
Time is flying, and this is lots to discuss.
We could
it's
continue,
great.
A long time.
I know you were also mentioning, we have debt conversion is a space you also wanted to explore more, and also around carbon credits, that aspect of.
So maybe just on the debt conversion is an initiative led by the ICRC, that we're working together with them on also, because there's just very briefly, I know we're short of time, there's a whole aspect of creditors and debitors. So there's a lot of potential for national societies basically all over the world to get engaged, either to work with creditors and debitors. But I don't think we have too much time to get into the details.
Well, shall I say very briefly
Yeah.
what the
Please
benefit
do.
to the national society?
Yeah, let's do that.
And that's the important bit, I
That's
think.
it.
The benefit is that this could be another alternative source of funding for really actually quite a broad range of programmatic work that's already being done by our national societies around humanitarian response and building climate resiliency. And the idea being that a country, an authority that is, let's say, a Ministry of Finance that owes money to another country,
Right.
instead of paying that money back, that payment is converted into a grant
Right.
and provided to the national society, which if you think about it is of course building the resilience of the country.
Exactly.
And better
which in
preparing
turn-
them to be able to pay back
Exactly,
future debts.
Exactly.
So that's a very simplistic explanation, but the benefit really is that it's another alternative source of funding. So we're working on that with the International Committee of the Red Cross, and our colleagues are really moving forward with that.
On that. Yeah, and you can say that's where we really also use the auxiliary role of the Red Cross and Red Crescent national societies, of redirecting that into the Red Cross or Red Crescent society.
So then briefly, before we kind of wrap it up, what's next for you guys?
Yeah.
What's the need? What's the challenge you want to address immediately now ahead of you? You are...
What's next?
What's next?
If we choose,
You've got a lot of interesting
Well,
things to do,
I
right?
mean, I'm going to do internal and external. I
Yeah.
don't think externally we need to invite partners to come work with us, because I think everybody does.
Right.
There's so much momentum and interest in this whole topic, especially as it applies to humanitarian work specifically. So I wouldn't say, please, private sector, come and work with us, because I think we're there.
Right.
Internally, I think we need to identify and really support the development of key champions. So key national societies who really want to come and co-create with us, who really, and or who need our support
Right.
to create, who maybe need external partners brought in, who need a different type of expertise brought in, and actually build something together and allow them the space to lead, own,
Right.
learn, and share.
Right.
No, very, very well said. I think a challenge is also for us to focus, as always in innovation. I think
Right,
choose.
To choose.
Yeah, we
Yes.
choose because a lot of interest, a lot of requests. But yeah, so we need to focus. Luckily, we have quite a patient team, because it also requires a bit of patience. And then, yeah, as you say, Dee, like people who want to be champions and who want to engage and want to be inspired to also invest in not what happens today or tomorrow, but in 5 or 10 years. I think that's
Well said.
Yeah.
So to kind of wrap it up, I think Dee, you may have said it, that the network needs this competency, this knowledge base and access to be able to discuss, partner with, and explore together for those national societies which are curious and want to explore it. And you need the network as well to bring the organizational need into you, to partner with, to support you in the journey that you guys are on.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been really, really pleasure to speak with you guys today.
Likewise.
Thanks so much,
Yeah,
Gavin.
thank you
Likewise.
so much. Yeah.
And I wish you lots and lots of luck
Thank you.
on the journey ahead. Hopefully we get to speak to you again and find out where you are.
Yes,
in
let's
the-
see
in-
where
in
we
a
are in a
year's
couple.
time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good.
Excellent
Sounds good.
plan.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dee. Thanks, Sophie.
Thank you so much.
Great. Thanks for
Thanks,
speaking to us
Gavin.
today.